Welcome to Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis. Today, I got a question for you. A new racket's just come out. A new racket of the same one you currently own. What do you do? Stay tuned. When a new racket comes out, when a new racket that you own, the newest version of it, comes out, let's say I play with a Clash Pro and the new version comes out in the fall, what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to demo it and then hopefully I'll like it, right? But sometimes you don't. So I see people every day agonizing over, man, do I get more of the old one or do I move on? Well, let me tell you something about agonizing, okay? Do you live in a racket desert in which you can't get a racket strung? So before I go into my details about agonizing over the new or the old, let me tell you something about RacketAid, all right? So I know that tennis shops are closing left and right. Less people are stringing rackets. Use RacketAid, right? I've used the service myself, and I've tested it. And Cal and the guys do a great job. Go online, racketaid.com. They'll send you a nice, sturdy, cool box just like this. All you got to do is put the rackets that you need strung inside. Tell them exactly what you want done. They even carry Solinco, Hyper-G, Confidential, and Torbite now. So give them a shot. You send it back out, they send it back to you. It's as easy as that. racketaid.com. All right, so back to the subject of old versus new. So let's say my Clash comes out version 2 in the fall, and I'm on the fence about it. Well, that's a really, really tough question because I know people who can't move on. It's like a bad ex-girlfriend. Man, you can't, even though she abuses you, you just know that she's your right arm because you've been with her for so long. So, sometimes you just got to donate those rackets, and move on, right? Even though, in the back of your mind, it may have been your first love and you can't move on, but still, right? We got to put that aside and move on to the next version. All right. So even the companies actually do that too, because when they moved on to this Wilson Ultra 100, they had second thoughts and said, oh man, everybody loved that old version, Ultra 100. So let's bring it back. Let's bring back the old girlfriend, right? And give them the option of bringing her back, right? And not even that, they're bringing her back a little cheaper for you, right? So these are like $159. These are $199. So you get to choose now, new or old. So, hey, they're giving you options. They realize sometimes that people love this version and can't move on to this one. So you get to have both if you like. The best of both worlds. Old versus new. Old meets new. Okay? All right. So, but sometimes you have to save yourself from yourself. So as in like a pure strike. The first generation of this racket was black with the red, if you guys remember that, okay? If you own that racket, you should get rid of that racket and move on because that was crap, garbage. Move on, okay? I still see people use it. Whenever somebody brings it into me, I'm like, why are you using that? Move on, please, because that's on my list, one of the worst rackets ever made in the last 20 years. No feel, bad flex. Oh, sorry, I could just keep going on about that one. But anyways, move on to Gen 3, okay? This is probably the best one they ever made, okay, in the strike versions. We all know Pure Drive is out now, okay? And this is probably the best Pure Drive ever, okay? So when they first came out with the first gen, everybody loved it. Second gen, everybody loved it. They put the stupid Cortex on, everybody like, what the hell are you doing? There's no feel now, okay? So ever since then, I feel like they've been living on the first and second generations until they got to the generation before this one. But now they're steadily improving it more and more, and this could possibly be the best generation yet in the past 20 years. I still like Gen 1 more, but this is right up there. So if you're on the fence about getting a new Pure Drive, move on, get this one. The Blade series, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I feel like there's not a lot of good player sticks out there on the mainstream market. Therefore, the default seems to be the Blade 98s. So the 1820 and the 1619, great for college level players, intermediate, advanced. They will be coming out with a new version of this. But see, the problem is we don't know how it is. Therefore, we have to stick with what we know until that one comes out. So most of the time, people are always on the fence about the Blade. I feel like because they've hit this for 2 years or 3 years in the old versions, that moving on is extremely difficult because you got a new racket. It's now stiffer because it's new. Plus, it's going to have a slightly different feel because of some kind of technology or some kind of paint job that's altering the feel. Therefore, it takes about a good year for a new Blade to grab hold of the market and to basically convince the players to move on. So Blade customers are the hardest to switch over. They're not immediate. So if you're a Blade guy, I understand you, okay? Now, most of the time, rackets don't really change a whole lot except for paint, maybe a slight material change, but those two things do alter the feel. Now, in this Radical MP, they actually altered it. It was 10.4 forever on this MP. It is now 10.6. So they added the 2 little grams there to this racket, which I believe stabilized the racket a little better. So if you're a Radical person, Radical MP person, move on to this one. I say definitely move on. This is a good change to this racket. It needed the extra weight. I even switched to this racket years ago in the MP version, and it only lasted about a month or so. I couldn't do it. It was a great first couple dates, and I had to let it go. Okay, but this one might be a keeper. Now, in some racket lines, like these Power Instincts, which is now you can choose a Power Extreme or Extreme Power. These rackets really never change. It's the same racket with another paint job. So if you're in this class, just buy the newest version, or if you can find the old version for $100 or $120, they're the same. All they do is slap a new paint job on it, slap a new name on it. You can now choose between 2 colors. Get the old version. It's the same. There is no difference. Save yourself a couple bucks and get the old version of this, and you'll be fine. In conclusion, all right, if you truly love your old racket, maybe get an extra one just in case. But I would say most of the time you're going to have to move on eventually, or else, you know, you're the ones that are creating the secondary market on like eBay or some of the closeout markets, or, you know, whatever's out there that you can get a racket on. So, but if you love it, get an extra one. If you're one of those people that it really doesn't matter, then hey, move on. Okay? Sometimes moving on is better. Thank you for watching Tennis Spin, where we put our spin on your tennis.